We turned this little league baseball field from this into this.
Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Chris with MySoil.
And today we want to walk you through our community project for the season.
This year we are fortunate enough to help out with our local Little League field, donate our time, our products that we have here at MySoil, and we want to just walk through how this renovation transformed this property.
So in the outfield, it was a pretty thin turf, a little weedy to start. And so we really thought the best thing to do in that outfield was going to be an overseeding. You know, resodding nearly an acre at these Little League fields just a week or two before play started really wasn't feasible in early spring. And so we came in, we scalped that outfield down really low, and then we overseeded relatively heavily with our 80-20 blend. And that's going to be our perennial ryegrass, Kentucky bluegrass blend. So after we laid that seed down, next step was to come in and top dress with sand. And then Chris spent some time dragging that sand in before we turned the water on. We soil sampled the outfield on both fields. We soil sampled the infield on both fields, and MySoil really drove the recommendations for the fertilizers that we selected.
Typical strategy that we use, we actually delayed fertility on the outfield, knowing that we had existing turf. About 2 weeks after germination, we came in and actually did our first fertilizer application. And we've talked about this in the past. This gives the newer seed that was just planted an advantage to get up and get going before the older grass that was already existing can outcompete it. In the MySoil Grow app, what we did is we actually mapped both of these fields. We created 2 zones. So we have our outfield zone and then we have our infield zone, and we sampled those separate just because sometimes we actually manage and treat those differently. So this gave us a great platform to where we could track all of our applications and what we were doing through the season.
The infield was definitely a lot more involved.
So the first step that we took in the renovation of the infields was to remove all of the existing sod or turf that was there prior. This turf was really struggling. It wasn't taken care of really well. It had disease. It didn't come out of winter well. Once we got all the sod removed, we had a gentleman come in and actually laser level everything to make this perfectly flat, which it wasn't before. After we laser graded the whole field, we actually brought in infield mix, which is the dirt areas that you see here. That infield mix is a specialized mix. It's about 85% sand and 15% clay, and that allows the right amount of water retention as well as drainage. So next what we did is actually pulled dimensions across the whole area. That's going to set where our bases are, where our pitcher's mound is, and home plate as well. So once we have all those dimensions, we set those, we level them out, and then come in and make sure that all of our irrigation heads are set appropriately. And that really sets the stage of the foundation for making sure that this is successful all season.
Bases are set, home plate and mound is set, irrigation's dialed in, so now it's time to get some sod rolled out. So because it was a smaller area and we wanted a little finer turf, we did go with a sod here. Do you want to talk a little bit about sod and what we fertilized with here on this infield, Chris?
Yeah, so obviously this is the part where it takes a lot of volunteer work and labor to get sod laid. What we did before we laid the sod is we actually fertilized where the sod was going to go with the Curb Appeal Complete Start product. The reason we did that is it was early in the spring. We wanted the roots to get access to nutrient quickly to ensure that the sod took and that we had playable turf, because we had games starting in about 2 to 3 weeks after we laid the sod. Then we came in and we rolled out the sod. We started with the infield first and then baselines and worked our way out with the sod rolls.
Yeah, and I love that strategy. You know, we definitely had enough sod to get everywhere, kind of tied in the infield to the outfield where you often get that lip. So that was a nice touch as well. Now, Chris, from a species perspective, what's the species composition of the sod that we chose here?
The sod that we used for the infield here is a 3-way blend of straight Kentucky bluegrass. This takes a full year of growing at the sod farm because Kentucky bluegrass is a very slow grower, as we know. Yeah,
and I really like Kentucky bluegrass in these super high traffic areas. It's going to fill in and have a lot of that repairability. So the outfield's been overseeded, the infield's been sodded. Now we've got to get this through a whole season of games to districts and then the state tournament that starts tomorrow, I suppose. So Chris, do you want to just talk about kind of the maintenance that was done on this to keep this looking like this through a whole Little League season?
So as far as fertility, we're running off our initial soil test from early this spring that Matt did. So what's nice about it is the MySoil Grow app gives us notifications on our next fertilizer application. So if you follow the recommendations on the app, whether it's in a home lawn or on a sports field, it works very well. It guides our application. So every 4 to 5 weeks, we've been applying the curb appeal fertilizer here on this field. That's a nice product. So it's gonna give us that dark green, but it's also gonna give us that slow controlled release, which you really need in these sports fields, so where you're not getting big growth fluctuations. It's just the perfect blend of dark green and growth for these fields.
Yeah, another thing I'll note about that curb appeal product is it's really small mini prills. And so when we're at lower heights of cut, like we are here in the infield, it incorporates really well and that fertilizer gets into the soil really quickly so that slow release can start to work.
We have a number of worm mounds or castings in here, which is great natural aeration, but it also does make this turf a little bit bumpy. So by coming and cross verticutting, we can really smooth that out to get good ball roll here. And then just regular mowing every 3 to 4 days throughout the season. We had high traffic, a lot of games, and we're about to host 25 games here in the next 6 days. So we'll see how it holds up.
For sure. And you know, I love that this is a Little League field, but we're mowing this infield at 1 inch. The outfield, I think, is at 1.5 inches, if I remember right. So yep. This is getting mowed pretty tight, and it's just a really good playable field for our Little Leaguers. Well, thanks for sticking with us to the end here. It was a lot of fun for us to get maybe out of the lawn, the garden, get outside of our comfort zone just a little bit and get back onto a baseball field. Really, really fun to see the whole community come together, and a ton of kudos to Chris. He put in a lot of volunteer hours to get this to this point.
Yeah, no, it's great to see, and then everybody that's been showing up just can't even believe the product that we've produced here. So that makes us feel good about our volunteer time, and it's pretty cool that this is actually all for the little kids.
Well, thanks again for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you again at one of our next projects.